So, on my ascension journey, I noticed that I had a real problem with codependency. And I feel like I had this problem simply because I did not know what codependency actually is. I noticed that a lot of the times when I would hear it being used in certain conversations, that it would be used interchangeably with the word dependent, which we all know means pretty much, somebody needing someone else, like a child to a parent. So in my mind, it meant the same thing because it didn't matter if it was a conversation, an article, a vlog, a blog, whatever. They were always using these two words in the same ways. But whatever was being discussed would be different situations. And of course, in my low vibrational sleep state, I wasn't really catching it. I just was figuring like I'm not codependent or dependent because I am actually hyper independent, which is a trauma response in and of itself, but that's a video for another day. So I ended up being on the same cycle and, relationship wise, because I didn't even know that this was an issue that I had. I literally was meeting the same demon in a different body because it was cloaking itself, you know. That's Look, let me not get too deep. But I decided, once I realized like why are they using two different words interchangeably instead of, they can't possibly mean the same thing, and why do they keep doing that? It makes no sense. So one of them has to be different. And now, don't get me wrong, I am not a Christian by no means. I am not subscribed to any religion. I'm actually spiritual as fuck, and I curse, and I'm not perfect, and I'm still on my journey. So, but I do if you watched my last video, then you know that I did attend a Christian academy. I was raised Christian and in the church, so I know the Bible, front to back. I may not know it as good as the pastors, and I may not know, certain verses and chapters and things, but I do know it. And I know, it says, seek and ye shall find, and all things get your own understanding. So I decided to look it up. And according to Beyonce's internet, on the definition, no, it's the dictionary website. Codependency means an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on an account of an illness or an addiction. Now, that might just be a little, that tea might be a little too hot. So let me simmer it down for you, cool it down for you. Basically, it means a excessive emotional or psychological need to be needed. You need someone to need you. That's what codependency means. And since I didn't know that, honey, I was out here getting my ass handed to me like left and right. Because, when you are in a low vibrational state, you attract low vibrational people. And 9 times out of 10, they're probably a little bit more low vibrational than you. So, although it's not intentional, they're going to latch on and they're going to take extreme advantage of your codependency. So, that is how I ended up being on the karmic cycle of codependency repeatedly because I didn't even know that that's what it was. Now, I feel like it ended up being like that, a repeated cycle, which pretty much, is I'm meeting the same demon just in a different person simply because and this is not for everybody, and this is definitely not a masculine versus feminine or women versus men type of video. No, this is my situation. I'm just using my life and my situation as an example. For me, it seemed as though, they would grow a little bit or progress a little bit, and they feel like, I don't need her no more. And they did what people do that don't, low vibrational people, once they feel like they have gotten on, they gonna leave everybody behind. They don't have the capacity to understand, reciprocity, or even what to, do, because they didn't actually put in the actual work. And I don't mean the outside work. They didn't actually put in the inner work. So I feel like, it didn't affect me too bad. I think God, he always had his hands on me because he knew that I was his special daughter. And he knew that if it ended up being a situation of like, a Tory and Kevin Hart, that it wouldn't be a bodyguard alive. He ain't invented a bodyguard yet that would, he ain't invented that yet. So he had his hands on me. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it would be a situation of they would get to maybe level 3 or 4 at the most, because somebody that is in a low vibrational state, they're not gonna get too far. You can't get to level 10 on the outside unless you get to level 10 on the inside. So, and for the most part, going on the inside is the same way of, it's just like navigating a dark place with the blindfold on. I don't care how strong a man is, honey, how, the muscles that he got and all that, honey, exploring that dark is scary, child. It is scary. So that's why, because I have always been willing to do it. Now, granted, my issue was I didn't want to do it alone, which you have to, you know what I'm saying? Because that dark is that's too much, people can't handle their own dark. You want them to handle yours. So that would be the issue every time. Like, we get to level 3 or 4, and I'm like, okay, now we got to go back in to get to level 5, and they like, oh hell no, I'm not going back in there. And so they go on about their business, to save face from leaving somebody that was really trying to help them. They'll talk bad about you, you know what I'm saying, and make the next one believe that you are just, oh, such a terrible, horrible person, and all of that, So I have never been the type of girl that will dwell too long on a failed relationship. I can honestly say I think it's, about 6 months. About 6 months at the most. That it has taken me to get over someone. But I never really took the time out to actually heal from that trauma of that failed relationship. I would just, sulk and miss that person until I didn't miss them anymore, and then I'll move on. But of course, since I did not heal, you know, I, that demon, that body, that vessel might have left, but that demon didn't leave. You know what I'm saying? He just following me around until he can find somebody that would be bold enough to approach me, and that would be vibrating low enough that it could inhabit it. Y'all, this is why I'm trying to get abducted. Because Earth is ghetto. But anyways, so um on my journey of learning this, and having to go deeper on the inside, I was just trying to figure out, where did this start? Like, how did I get here? So that way I can fix this, because I'm trying to get to level 10. And so I realized that, it was I'm a part of a platonic relationship, a platonic familiar relationship, where I am the dependee, or, the one that's dependent, and the other person is extremely codependent. Now, this is the toxic level of codependency, where the trauma is deep, deep rooted. This is that Generation X trauma. This, that, now, I don't even blame them for not wanting to go, because that trauma right there, honey, it's that type of toxic to where once they see you start to do better, they will literally sabotage you, whether it is intentional or not. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't even realize that they're doing it. But it's more of a situation of, how dare you pass me intellectually, intelligently, financially, emotionally, mentally. They don't care. They just don't want to be passed. And not only do they not want to be passed, honey, they're not willing to do the work that it takes to get to level 15 or level 20 so that they won't be passed and so that they can provide the guidance that they should have been providing to help you ascend as well. So now that the problem has been recognized because you can't fix it unless you see it. I just feel like, the best way to not only, because you don't want to just break out of being codependent, you want to break out of, being a dependent to a person that is codependent so that you can continue to progress, is to stop accepting help from people who have a deep rooted need to be needed. It's not genuine help that will actually serve you because they are only doing it to serve themselves. Except, coming from somebody with experience, it does not really serve them. And then it's like once they realize that, now they mad at you because they helped you. They used, what little bit of energy they could muster up to help you. And it didn't feel that little trauma hole that they were trying to fill. The hole still got a little, when that wind blow by and you feel it, it still got it. So now they want to start, fighting, making up, fighting, making up, that toxic cycle. And the issue never truly gets fixed. And this causes nothing more than a trauma bond that serves neither party involved. This will eventually take you down emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It's unhealthy, which makes it start to affect your physical health because that emotional wound is now infected and it has to go, that leakage got to go somewhere. And so now it starts to manifest physically and it just goes from there. And if that tea was a little bit too hot, let me cool it down for you. Basically, only accept and ask for genuine help from genuine people so that you can form genuine bonds. It's like if you realize that, you ask somebody for help and they really don't want to do it, you can feel that vibe. If you've gotten to that place where you can feel that vibe that they don't want to do it, but they really sort of kind of people pleasing you, they think that you're going to be upset with them if you don't do it or whatever. That's not genuine help. They're just doing it to serve their own need to people please or their own need of whatever it is that they need. They're not doing it for you. And now for me, once I recognize that person, baby, it's cut off immediately. One and done. I ain't got time. I don't have time. But if you are not, excuse me, if you are not at that place in life to where you can just easily cut people off that's giving you knives and scissors and all types of sharp objects to cut that energy cord, then at least try to have a decent conversation with them, a good firm conversation with them as to why you're going to have to distance yourself and why you don't want them to do anything for you. Now, it's going to come with some blowback because people do not like self-accountability. Accountability. People don't like self-accountability, honey. They don't like to look in a mirror and see their true form. They don't like it. They don't like when you tell them about themselves. This is why I just go ahead on and cut. I don't have time. I got to cut ties because guess what? Their low vibrational energy is going to pull you down from your high vibrational state. And now, no manifestations for you, baby. Manifestations delayed, baby. Manifestations denied, sweetheart. No. You're vibing too low to get your manifestations. You can't have them. And so now they broke, you broke, everybody around here sad and broke and tired. No, that's not a good state of mind or a place to be in. Now, as I previously stated, let me do my little disclaimer. As I previously stated, I am by no means a trained counselor or a therapist or anything like that. Like I said, I'm not a Christian, I'm not religious. And I do know that there are parts of the Bible that is fake. But there are definitely parts of the Bible that are extremely helpful and real. So if you feel like you are having a issue with codependency, do your own research, honey. Seek and ye shall find. Um, get your own understanding in all things. And if this resonated with you, then great. Comment down below, let me know. And if it don't apply, then let it fly. And until next time.